I think of a song called My Inheritance that, is a very like Christian-y title or whatever, but for me, like I grew up with a dad who was rough in a lot of ways. Wasn't the typical amazing, dad that you always call and how you doing, bud? I'm so proud of you. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was a lot of difficulty in the home as a young man. And I think processing that with a lot of like anger, even like frustration, even at God, like why would you give me, this dad that I didn't feel like I got a lot from, I felt like I just got hurt and pain and, some suffering out of it, right? And I think processing that song with a guy named Shane Stevens who wrote Fancy Like, and then my producer and songwriting buddy, Paul Mabry, we just sat there and we were like, what if, things never really look the way you think they're gonna look. Like you look at your life 10 years down the road, like, this is where I'm gonna be. And then you actually get there and you're like, dang, like this is a little different. I think that's one of those songs where I was like, man, I expected to get a certain thing from my family and my upbringing. And I got a lot of difficult circumstances, but it made me who I was supposed to be. It's kind of the stupid, goofy little adage, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like, I really believe in that. Like I have such value for suffering and for dealing with the stuff that life gives us. And it always looks different. But my dad gave me a love for music. He owned a record store growing up, and he gave me my first guitar. And the line in the song is, maybe this guitar, like he didn't say a whole lot of other things to me that were nice, but maybe that guitar was his I believe in you, son. And that changed my life because songwriting is everything, like she said. Like that's the way I process and kind of figure out life. But I think that's the song where I feel like I'm still living and still gaining so much wisdom from even the difficulty of growing up with a parent who was kind of hard, And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like a lot of our upbringings weren't as awesome as we'd hoped. But I think if we lean into it, if we lean into that suffering and let it teach us, there's a lot of wisdom to be found from that pain. I have, yeah. It was interesting. Like, it's always painful to say, hey, our relationship was hard. You know what I mean? Like it's never.
Because you have to share it. Like his dad has done a lot of changing.
Yeah, true.
He's a really amazing grandfather. And he recognizes some of the things that he did wrong.
And we've had a lot of those hard conversations, where I was able to say to him, like, hey, Dad, it was really difficult growing up in your home. But we've talked through it. And I think, I'm always a little wary, apprehensive to send him some of these songs because for him to constantly have to go, I remember I wasn't everything I wanted to be when you were little, or even when you were a teenager. That's painful. But at the same time, there's such redemption in it. And I asked him one day, like, are you cool with this? Like, are you cool with, I kind of put some of this stuff on display? And he was like, man, if it helps even one person, like, I'm good with it.
Such a humble and humble response.
Yeah.
He's, I think, in some ways, the way that he walks out fatherhood in ways is letting Cory tell a story about something that is vulnerable for him. And that's his way of going like, this is how I can mend some of the things that I wish I hadn't have been like.
Yeah.